Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Lockdown Movies again with Colin. Today I'm going to be reviewing Donnie Brasso. To me, this is one of the greatest movies that's ever existed. While I love Johnny Depp in the character role and several of the other actors, I have to go straight into the fact of how it is based off of history, is one of the great intellectual movies that actually does justice to the intellectual situation of it throughout the script and the portrayal. And it shows how people have to go in, even under basic dialects, where we can understand anything and everything that they are saying around here. Looking at you, looking at me, we can interact, have complex business deals, interactions, maybe even get married, but we don't know the intricacies of each other's individual dialectual language. In this, it actually shows throughout the entire movie how the FBI took a person, sent them into this one crime family in order to find out as much as they can about their language and everything else, what it meant for them doing everything so they could actually bring charges against them because their language was so different but yet existed inside America with an actual culture that spanned from New York to Florida and Cuba. Without this, there would be none of the big mob movies that were busted or made or anything else out there without this one single situation coming forth in the form of the classified agent's name that's only known of in the reports as Donnie Brasso. Now, while there's been numerous interviews with him afterwards, they've disguised his appearance, everything else. There's supposedly cues throughout the entire movie that show to who he originally really was and everything. And even rumors to where Lefty Two Guns was taken and made himself disappear and disappeared into someplace in America, shall we say, to be the new Golden Dawn, and walked out on top of it, some will say, off the street rumors from it. But the movie itself was absolutely excellent. And it even shows the fact of long-term psychological damage, or else cult mentality, one could say, where one is undercover so long that you end up start acting and there's not really a separation between you and the stronger personalities. And unless your personality is stronger, you will give in and completely go with them on everything. In the raid where they arrested the character agent, Donnie Brasso, he was about to go and do a hit. And they had to get him out of there because they said he was too taken in. Similar like how the First Amendment gives us freedom of religion. He was taken in to their own religion, even though they were not trying to establish any type of royalty and thought they was just one of them, and they're bringing them into the business more and more as an equal partner of it. So in and of itself, it shows the First Amendment's freedom of religion in one of the ways that one can almost leave that and lose themselves in another identity coming along with them or anything else, just so that they can further the investigation, the ability of the United States into whatever format it could be. After all, the main thing that they were really looking for in the investigation was who were all the scores for. No one really knew who the scores were for. And they've since had numerous movies past there where they know who all the scores were for, and movies that went back even before then, back into the 1920s, 1930s Depression, and showed where it started up at and everything, and how it's really a kind of foreign tie than everything else. Now, I have to say that Johnny Depp, in his portrayal of it, his looking at things, the way that you could see in his eyes that there was a slight change, a disconnect, and then total body language and everything else went over the long hours of going through in hotel rooms over and over, the tolls on his life, his moving around with his friends slash investigated people, co-workers, family, all took that toll and almost pushed everything right to the bitter end. And then he came out of it. And as it was, when he leaves the photograph of his FBI graduation photo and training photos over there, when they go and serve the warrants and everything else and the appearance in court subpoenas and everything, even in the trial part, they couldn't believe that he was FBI, that there was no way he was FBI. They would argue it on the stand that he was not FBI and that these photos were fake that they gave him. So they made it all up and they took him out and brainwashed him and told him that all this stuff was really what it was and had him false testify to it because he was the one that was brainwashed and they didn't have a police officer in there amongst them that brainwashed them for everything. It's a testament to one of the great law enforcement providers of the United States of America. And I have to recommend it as soon as your kids could ever watch it, to explain to them that this is one of the cases that let someone go in there and that they could say that even if you do not speak Webster's dictionary or whatever dictionary was in your elementary school, that the language could be used in the court of law and have an equivalency to it, and they could be tried on what their words were that they were using. This is, without a doubt, probably the most realistic undercover movie that I've watched out there, maybe except for some of the legendary ones such as the infamous Informant and Made in America. But that's been almost 20 years for those two to come out, go through the process to even come close to it. And by then, Donnie Brasso was the movie that took everything backwards, past before The Godfather, and to the other direction, into the future with those, to even set up the street rumors, the possibilities and everything else of extreme undercover agents and other movies out there that would have even been able to come close to anything. And I have to say that it should be in everybody's police dramatization section of their home movies. And while The Godfather and those are on a separate situation because they're really from the crime criminal perspective, it is absolutely a wonderful movie and just absolutely mesmerizing. If you have a little bit of the knowledge beforehand over what it is to go over, and is almost something that's probably educational and should even be looked at in certain college classes for required viewing and studying of the case. This is Colin Dawson, Lockdown Movie Reviews. Like and subscribe.